Count money, man. Stack riches. Try and told him I'm a beast, bud.
What's up, gang? Welcome back to another episode of the GRINDcast. Get ready. It's a new day. And I don't want to get all spiritual too deep on you, but I'm not perfect, but I am a Christian. And I just was going to share that, you know, the one parable I was just reading where Jesus had a parable about two builders. And one house was built on a foundation of sand, built their house on sand, and the other foundation was built on rock. And it said the one that was built on sand, when the storms came and the wind blew, it blew down. And the one that was built on rock, the storms came and the wind blew and the flood came and all this came and the house stood strong. And so one thing's for sure about you and me is that the storms are going to come. The rain's going to come. The flood's going to come. The wind is going to come. It's about, are you building your life and house on rock? Don't worry about the people that seem like they're getting a little bit further ahead when they're building their things on sand, because when the wind comes and the storm comes and the storm blows, you got to have yourself on solid foundation. And so I think we got to build our life on solid foundation so you can weather any storm. This applies to any area, in all areas of life, business, solid foundation. Sports, you got to have a good base, solid foundation. Relationships, marriage, solid foundation. In business, building a solid foundation requires casting vision, attracting top talent, and a strong culture rooted in hard work with good systems in place, good people, good processes. That's a solid foundation in business. Good people, good process, systems and processes, that's key. And then the relationships that you can build with those people, and the building up of people, not just about business, but building those people internally. Because what you build internally is what really ends up happening externally. Anything that you see externally really is built from what you're building internally. And so if you want a solid foundation of people, then you got to build people up. In sports, a strong foundation requires prioritizing your health, mastering the fundamentals, and a team first mentality. You know, without a strong foundation, you fold when you're faced with adversity. Your business will fold when faced with adversity. Your marriage will fold when faced with adversity. Your team, your sports team will fold when faced with adversity, and usually adversity is a guarantee. Without that strong foundation, some organizations can't even handle success without crumbling. There is no shortcut to success, and success relies heavily on laying the groundwork and the foundation in order to support it. It's not as much fun, though, to talk about and lay the groundwork and lay the foundation, because it's a bunch of mess. It's a bunch of dirt. It's the understanding that the bigger the skyscraper, the bigger the building, the further down you got to dig deep in the hole. And the pretty building is a whole lot more fun to look at than the dirt in the mud that you got to dig deep in the hole that will eventually be your foundation. You know, I've been on that Kevin Hart book I've been talking about, and one of the chapters or parts of it, he called it Cowboying Up. And when he was talking about you got to cowboy up in order to have success, he talked really about just summarizing taking ownership of things, taking responsibility for actions in your life. This is how you build a solid foundation. The bed that you made and being okay with it because you take responsibility of it. It's easy to point fingers. Don't take any effort. Kids can do that. Point blame at things. It takes a real woman and a real man to start to take ownership of things. You can't change if you don't take some ownership. So many avoid taking ownership and therefore they never change because they don't look internally. Even if 90% of it isn't something you can own, what 10% of it can you own? What 10% of it can you go back and say, man, yeah, I could have done that different? What percentage of this problem did I contribute? Even if 99% of it wasn't me, what 1% did I contribute? What could I have learned from that? What could I have done better from that? People want to do business with people that stand on a solid foundation. That means you're going to last long term and success is long term. And part of knowing that you're dealing with yourself, building the right way, building yourself the right way, or dealing with other people is are they reliable? Foundationally solid by being reliable. Like when you tell somebody that you're going to do something, do you back it up with action 99% of the time? Because if you want to be around good people, you got to be reliable. All unreliable people have around them usually is other unreliable people. Because reliable people get sick of it. Reliable people get sick of dealing with unreliable people, so then you don't end up in a circle with reliable people. Reliable people try to surround themselves with other people that they can rely on. And so if you're an unreliable person and people can't trust your word and what you say, when you're going to be there, do you do what you say you're going to do? Are you where you're saying that you're going to be? Are you sticking to your word? Can you be counted on? Eventually you find yourself out of being around reliable people because they get sick of being around people that aren't reliable. As a parent, your children are going to rely on you. Other people are going to depend on you. And so your kids and other people are depending on you to be reliable, and everything that you do is going to leave an imprint with those people. So ask yourself a question right now. Can people rely on me? Or are you always the person that things come up and then we're like, let's not even invite him or her because they'll be there 2 hours later, or we can't count on them to even show up? Or are you the person that they got to lie to and say, man, it's a 5 o'clock program, but really it starts at 6 because you're never on time? A strong foundation creates an environment and a legacy that will end up inspiring other people that are watching you and really giving you the life that you desire. And so I just want to encourage you out there to build your life on solid ground. So to me, when I look at, man, what would I do if I wanted to build my life on solid ground? I look at, first off, myself. People say this in a negative light, but at the end of the day, all you can depend on is yourself. That's one thing you ain't going to get out of, is everywhere you go, you're going to be there. Yourself. And so I think part of having a solid foundation is investing into yourself physically. It's like, man, I feel bad that you guys that listen, you hear me saying this all the time, but I think the physical helps the mental and the spiritual so much. Because the win physically takes discipline. You ain't always going to feel like eating it or doing the exercise. It's an outward expression of what's going on internally. If you're taking care of yourself physically, your health and the energy that you have is going to allow you to have a solid foundation to serve other people. You can't serve others if mentally, you're not doing okay. I think it's tough to mentally do okay if physically you're not doing okay. And if you don't pay attention to yourself short term, physically, long term, you're going to suffer. And so solid foundation, I'm checking the box of physically. Am I eating right? Am I hydrating myself? Am I exercising? Do I have a routine and a plan? I think that's another solid foundation. thing is organization and having a routine. Most successful people that I've seen have a successful routine, morning routine, daily routine that starts their day off. Just like a batter, baseball player, basketball player goes to the free throw line. They usually do the same thing every single time. Spiritually, solid foundation. I think it's hard to have a solid foundation built upon a rock without having some focus on growing yourself spiritually and then mentally. Solid foundation with people in your circle, relationally. Do you have good people around you? Audit your circle. Look at the quality of people. Are they just fun? Do you like them? Do you like being around them because they're fun? Do you like being around them because they just make you feel good? Or are they doing the right things? Because the quality of people that you spend the most of your time with is going to dictate a lot of your life. And so I just, part of that solid foundation is auditing your circle. Solid foundation as far as the habits, spending habits, saving habits, those are all foundational things. So I think a solid foundation, when I look back on it, really has a lot to do with you and it's in the choices that you make, investing into yourself and investing into the relationships and the time that you spend with people and making sure that it's the right people will be your solid foundation. Just look at what happens when you go through adversity. Like, just look at, man, if I had a major obstacle today, a major adversity today, who could I call? Who would I call? Who could I call? And why? If I had a major obstacle or major adversity today happen in my life, who do I think would be in my corner? Who would be healthy to be in my corner? What people tell me things that I need to hear and not just what I want to hear and love me regardless. You need good people around you to have a solid foundation. You need people that you can count on, and then you could also need people that you could count on to call you out on your bullshit and tell you when they think you're doing something wrong. A qualified person that cares about you, that could check you, I think is important to have a solid foundation. And then taking care of yourself mentally, physically, and spiritually, mentally. Sounds corny, sounds cliche. Nobody wants to do it. But this is how you have a solid foundation. Like if somebody locked me in a box, took everything away from me, how would I survive? Mentally. What would I have? What have I built in my mind? I think having access to YouTube now is like a cheat code to life, because building yourself up mentally, you could just YouTube positive, people that inspire you and let them pour into you. I try not to waste time when I'm like showering or getting dressed or packing luggage or whatever it is, or walking somewhere. Just put my headphones in and listen to audiobooks or podcasts or, things of that nature. So, I just want to, I think really building that foundation that won't crack, just having integrity, having character, trying your best to be the person that you are in the world on the outside, trying your best to live up to being that person when nobody's watching, in the dark, doing your best to do those things, surrounding yourself around good people, but more so surrounding yourself around yourself and liking the person that's walking around because you put a lot of time and energy building up that person. And let's get prepared today to continuously build our foundation on solid rock, because adversity is going to come. The winds blew, the rain came, the storm came, and the house stood strong through obstacles and adversity, and that's what I wish for you. As always, if this message helps you, please feel free to share it with somebody else, with others that we can impact. As always, thank you for sharing your time with us on the GRINDcast, and we look forward to seeing you next time. So thanks for joining us on another episode of the GRINDcast. Get ready. It's a new day.